Not Quite Cool is a podcast that contains spoilers, opinions, and general nonsense. Listener discretion is advised.
And after 75 minutes of trying to get Rob to give me the control of the Zoom, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another great episode of Not Quite Cool. My name is Keith Brooks, and I'm here, as always, with Chad Dowdy. Chad, how you doing?
I'm doing good, Keith. I appreciate you asking. You know, you always check in on me every podcast. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, anytime, buddy. And then here's my question for the listener out there. Have you ever stubbed your toe? Like broken your toe, right? And it's miserable. It's not the worst thing in the world, but it's like, oh fuck, this is painful and I have to deal with it. That's kind of what it's like to hang out with our
Am I your big toe?
co-host.
Am I your big swollen toe?
Yeah, that is Mr. Robert Prago drinking from Arby's. Is Arby's even fucking open right now? Where did you get Arby's?
5 minutes ago, got me a beef and cheddar with curly fries.
That's why the podcast was delayed. That's why we couldn't record it.
Exactly.
Because he was at Arby's.
You caught me. It was on my way home.
Rob, how are you? Lovely burp. How are you today, sir?
I don't even know anymore. I'm fine. I'm here.
That's the thing.
I got a little ponytail going on. I haven't cut my hair since March. I got a fucking wax job. I got Bee Gees hair. It's lovely.
I just threw up a little bit. As a man who used to rock a ponytail, I just threw up a little bit. Here's the deal. Probably the listener, it's your dad. So, but anybody else who happens to stumble upon this podcast don't realize we always record this after you've been teaching all day or whatever. So they just think you're a curmudgeon of a person, like an always miserable, which is fair. That's a fair assumption.
I can't argue with you, Keith. I've learned to use you as my own reflection, a mirror. And I look at Keith and I see how Keith sees me and I go, I'm just a miserable old curmudgeon.
Good. I'm glad we got
shave. It should just say "get off my lawn."
Yeah,
on my screen.
Yeah,
but it's okay. I like talking about the movies and the picture shows.
Yeah, I was gonna say movies. I don't know. You didn't even watch any movies.
There's some
TV shows,
maybe. The movie and the picture show that I saw. I watched all of I Am Groot. I committed to the whole binge.
You watched all of
awesome.
season one, right?
Question. I'm embarrassed to say I didn't understand one of the endings. I was like, I'm not even sure I can tell them this. I watched one of the I Am Groot. I'm going, I'm not sure if I understand this one. And we'll get into that.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But I'm feeling good. We talk wrestling is Roman Reigns has got to run into The Rock at some point, right? This is leading to The Rock. Am I not? Let's talk about wrestling for a second, Chad. This is going. He's not losing to LA Knight, so this is going to be The Rock at WrestleMania, right?
It'll either be Cody or The Rock. You know, I hope it's The Rock. But NXT this week, Paul Heyman was backstage, caught on camera. They didn't call him out or anything. Where he was talking to The Rock's daughter. So that's how you get The Rock to get angry.
Yeah,
is you're trying to recruit his daughter into the bloodline. Then
that's because I also think The Rock has to come in just for like a single night. You know what I mean? He can't commit. Well, I mean, SAG strike. Maybe he could right now.
Well, that's what Cena's doing. He's been there for weeks, and it's because of the SAG strike.
That's crazy.
He even said it in the post-match post-match meetings where he said, "Look, they went on break. That's why I'm here." He goes, "This is what I can do. I can do this now. But when that things paused, when that's over, I got to go."
Yeah.
So it's so funny. It's like that's why The Rock. When was Rock back? About 3 weeks ago? About a month ago? He came back.
It was less than a month, probably 3 weeks ago. Yeah, he showed up for a one-off because he was already there for like College Game Day next morning. So
that's good. Anyway,
yeah, and that's why people tune in to hear our interesting takes on the wrestling. Yeah,
that's right.
We make it WWE easy is what we do. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on because we got a lot of stuff to cover, and none of it's whatever bullshit they were just talking about. We got a lot of movies and a lot of trailers, so we're just gonna dive straight into the big one everybody wants us to talk about: a Disney Plus release, a Marvel series, the second season of it. That's I Am Groot. Rob was referencing it earlier. So I Am Groot, I think it was 5-6 episodes, total of like 4.5 minutes altogether. I watched it. Chad, did you watch it? And what did you think about it?
this is more of the same of the original of the first season. The Snow Day one was my favorite one. Groot's cute as all get out, but the Snow Day one was like super funny, super cute. I dug that one.
Yeah.
The Are You My Groot one, I was a big fan of that one, but the rest fell in the middle that were all pretty good. But
Is the Are You My Groot one? Is that the bird one?
yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that one. I thought that was cute.
That was really cute.
Rob, Chad doesn't like cute things. What do you,
No.
you should be safe. What do you think about I Am Groot season 2?
I was hesitant to watch, and I buckled down last night, pulled up my bootstraps,
What a commitment.
ate a big bowl of cereal, sat there, and I powered through the 11 minutes or whatever it was to watch all 6 episodes.
Good.
I think I just put it. I smiled the whole goddamn time.
Yeah.
Visually, it's stunning. It's really gorgeous visual effects. The character is great. The character is such a feisty little d-bag. It's almost like he's almost like an angry little puppy that's just tearing on shit, which is a blast.
Yeah.
And the first one was the one with the I'm your mother, what I am your Groot, whatever. With the little, even the little creatures were cute. All the farting and the fun. It's just fun and silly and ridiculous. Great creatures. So I enjoyed all of them. I really did. They were a lot of fun. I thought the snowman that almost took over the world, very very Avengers 2. But okay, so the one where the ice cream truck is going by the ship and he's trying to get money for the ice cream truck, which we could all relate to as kids. Ma, ice cream man, ice cream man. So I didn't understand the last scene. Okay, we're back up. When you were a little kid, and the ice cream man was coming, you heard it coming.
That's not what my face of confusion was. That's the one you don't understand?
Well, yeah, the ending. I didn't get the last shot. So
he destroyed the ship. He because he sent his little ship into hyperdrive and ran through the fucking ship.
Oh, see, I didn't miss that. I thought he went after it, and then I just thought he wound up in some weird ass ice cream land. I didn't know what that was.
So what we've established is Rob doesn't understand shows made for 3-year-olds.
I didn't. It was like it was like go open the juice box. And I was like, I can't open this juice box.
I thought there's an episode that has a crossover with the Watcher. So
that's what I thought he was talking about.
That's what I thought he was talking about. Not
clear as day. That was the Watcher, and he didn't do what the Watcher had done. That was clear as day. I didn't know where he wound up in the ice cream one. Yes.
I
know. I could have gone back and watched the scene before and maybe have grasped it, but that was a long commitment. You want to back up.
Absolutely.
Seconds.
I don't.
I'm ready for season 3.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's great. It's super fun.
I think they should cross over. I Am Groot and Loki.
That actually be kind of great. I mean, you could do sort of anything. I think they'll probably stick to the animated world. So maybe give us the Marvel Zombies crossover whenever that happens. But I dug it. I liked hearing Jeffrey Wright in it. It's basically Tom and Jerry, but with Marvel characters. And I dig that. It's nice. If you want to talk about teaching an actor about objectives, cartoons are the best way to do it because it's simple. You know what they want the entire time. You can define their tactics. I'm just trying to I'm just saying stuff because my mind still hurts from not understanding the ice cream episode. So let's just move on.
Like a brain freeze from a good ice cream. My brain hurt.
There we go. Yeah. Well, that was chilling. And so is the next thing we're going to talk about. A spooky movie that came out prior to the spooky season, but I think it's still relevant. The newest venture from Kenneth Branagh, A Haunting in Venice, the Poirot character in his third outing in this iteration. Chad and I saw this. Chad, what did you think about this star-studded Tina Fey, Michelle Yeoh, great cast? What did you think?
Like you said, it's the third one in this franchise, and this was kind of a departure from the first two. I mean, definitely it's still a mystery. He's still trying to solve the mystery, but this was a lot darker than the others, a lot creepier. It had a supernatural tilt to it, and it's my least favorite of all 3.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I just don't feel like I enjoy him in a world with supernatural elements. Now I know they explained a lot of the stuff away as far as that goes, but I just like a straight up, in this scenario, I like a detective story where he's looking at real life clues and he's figuring out and he's a step ahead of everyone else. So, I mean, this was fine. It was very well done. Like you said, star-studded cast, all of that. I'll watch the next installment and I appreciate the swing they made with this one. But yeah, it was my least favorite of the three.
I liked it a lot. I think it is a departure not only in the subject matter, but also the way it's cut. Like it's cut more like a horror movie than the others are, with you have those sharp, jolting cuts throughout the film. And I kind of enjoyed that. There is that, is it supernatural, is it not supernatural aspect that sort of plagues it throughout the entire time. I didn't really run into it probably because I was familiar with the source material of it initially.
Right.
So, but I love his Poirot, and I could see, again, I'm a big Murder, She Wrote guy, right? So any detective sort of setup you're going to give me, I'm going to dig. So I could watch these and John Wick's for the rest of my life and be completely satisfied. Just keep giving me great casts, cool mysteries. I'm on board for it. I think I like it probably better than Death on the Nile, but probably not as much as Murder on the Orient Express. And to be honest, I didn't even know it was happening until I saw a poster. You know what I mean? And so I'm excited to see if they've already shot like 3 more or something. Branagh works fast, so yeah, I dug it. But speaking of supernatural bins on stuff and some out of this world entertainment, I think all 3 of us saw a Hulu original called No One Will Save You. A new film on Hulu that really brings in the Halloween season and does some awesome stuff. Chad, what did you think about No One Will Save You?
It's an interesting movie. It's spoiling it a little bit in this piece, but I feel like it's out there. People know this. There's not really any dialogue in this film. The main character doesn't really speak except for, maybe this moment here. And while I enjoyed it and it was creepy, I enjoyed like maybe the first 20-30 minutes a lot, like the invasion aspect, the alien in her house. I dug that. I just felt like that it did not sustain its runtime as far as just the no dialogue with her going from here to here, not really confiding in anyone in the town. And again, I know what they're trying to do and things like that. To me, it felt more like it would have worked it better as a short than a full movie. But again, a lot of elements were cool. The alien creature design, very cool. Her performance, I dug it. And it kind of has like a Twilight Zone ending that I love the Twilight Zone. I don't know if I'm fully on board with that ending either. So this was just kind of okay for me.
Prago, what about you?
Yeah, like what Chad said, I felt like it was like a Stephen King short expanded into a full movie, which was kind of cool. We've been around a lot of independent films and indie filmmakers and always trying to aspire to figure out the way to, when you don't have a big budget, how do you do it for less? And I like not that it was one location, but it was primarily a single location. I thought it was interesting. The ending was a little bizarre. The ending felt a little Twilight Zone-y. It was weird. I felt getting a lot of different vibes from this show. I got a little E.T. I got Close Encounters. I got Invasion of the Body Snatchers. The ending, sort of, where she's walking around and everybody's changed, and she's allowed to sort of exist. That's very Invasion of the Body Snatchers for me. She's a dynamite actress. I mean, she's a dynamite. I love that they did this movie. I love they took the risk. I love that whole. She's the only one who speaks in the movie. This is gonna be a strange comparison, but Keanu Reeves did a movie with I forgot her name. Good Lord, what the hell's her name from?
Winona Ryder.
Thank you. Destination Wedding. Did you ever see Destination Wedding?
No.
Very small film, but it's great. You should watch it. It's basically 2 people who can't stand each other wind up having to go to the same wedding, and it's how they wind up. The relationship grows, but you realize about 40 minutes in, the spoiler alert, they're the only people who've said anything. And they're the only 2 people who say anything in the entire movie. And they're at a wedding and it's wild. And it's done very intimate and very small. And I remember thinking, how is this reminding me of Death? So again, just cool ways of keeping the budget low. And, I love the alien design. Especially I love the smaller alien designs better than the giant. What are you guys doing? Relax. Other than the giant alien designs. I thought the color palette of the movie was beautiful. I thought the scene on the bus was creepy as shit. I
Yeah.
mean, there was good things. Did it, like Chad said, did it sustain the whole thing? No, I thought the opening 20, 30 minutes in the house was outrageous. I thought that was great. Very, very good. So again, thumbs up for me. There you go. Enjoy.
Well, I want to point out real quick that when he said, "What are you guys doing? Calm down," he wasn't talking to me and Chad. He was talking to his dogs. But in addition to that, I agree. Like, I think, it is interesting. The only time she speaks in the entire movie is in that little fantasy they give her, and the only other people that speak is there's a phone call where someone calls her like a fucking bitch or something, and then the sheriff says, and everything else is silent. And I think that's such an intriguing conceit already. The idea of our protagonist being a person who maybe is not the most innocent of people, even though she was a child, that's compelling. The fact that she feels alien in her world already, just the way it layers that, I love it. Like, I think don't ever make a sequel to this movie. Leave this as a one and done great entry into the science fiction canon, because I really walked away really super impressed and loving what I had experienced. The spider alien that was massive was fucking terrifying. I love the fact that we went with a lot of like the gray designs and stuff like that. Yeah, I dug it. I thought it was a wonderful, almost at times a throwback to older alien films, right? But speaking of throwback, Chad and I watched another horror film, a anthology called VHS 85. I think it's the 963 third entry in the franchise, exclusive to Shudder. It has 14,000 shorts in it. I don't know. I didn't count. Chad, what did you think about VHS 85, which sees the return of one of the original directors, David Bruckner?
Oh, Bruckner's back. Nice.
Yeah.
And they've also just announced a couple days ago, as one would expect, another VHS coming next year.
Gotcha. That's fine.
So
give
yeah,
me
Somebody's
every
making
year.
money. Somebody's making money. Good
yeah,
Lord.
keep them
God
coming.
bless.
So to me, this one, there's not a bad short in the bunch. I dug every one of these shorts to varying degrees.
Yeah.
I also really love the fact that a couple of the shorts were connected to each other, especially like the way that I realized it was connected. At first, when a kid is like shooting with a water gun, I was like, "Oh, that's funny," because there was a water gun in the, and then they see like the whatever they were driving, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome!" I love the fact they connected the shorts, and I don't remember VHS ever really doing that, other than the wraparound pieces, as far as that goes. But some of the shorts connected, I really love that. Probably my favorite was the dude where he was dreaming about the future, what would happen, and then you get videotapes. That's a pretty cool concept.
Absolutely.
So Rob, I know you didn't see it, but the concept of this one is the police receive a videotape, and it's of a murder scene, but they don't know who it is or where it is. Then a week later, they get a call and they show up at a house, and this is the murder. But time of death shows that it just happened. But they saw the murder a week ago on this videotape. So right there, I mean, it's a great concept, so it's pretty cool, that element. But the one out on the lake, Keith, there's an awesome special effects shot where the girl gets her jaw blown away. It looks incredible, some of the special effects in this movie. I know this is low budget horror, but it just looks incredible, some of the gore effects in this movie. But again, like I said, not a bad one in the bunch. So because of that, this is probably my favorite VHS out of all of them.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I think this one's great. The lake one is my favorite. That first lake one, and I love the way I didn't even really think about the lake one and the family one being separate shorts. I just thought they were a continuation. But then, like, in retrospect, that's not really the wraparound story. The one in Mexico is great too. Like, I love that one as well. Yeah. But the lake one, just to spoil it again for Rob, let's just spoil stuff for Rob. That's what this podcast is called. Spoil stuff for Rob that he's never going to watch anyway. So the lake one is a bunch of like teenagers. They decide to go, be teenagers on a lake, set in the middle of the 80s. and they're water skiing and having a great time when somebody pulls up and starts snipering them off one by one.
While they're in the boat, in the lake.
Yeah. But the problem is they all die and then they all come back from the dead because there's something in the water that prevents you from dying. So only the ones that touch the water come back to life. And it's just a great little, cool little concept with a great little payoff. I wish in that second one we would have seen more of them. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was super fun, a cool idea. So
yeah, they didn't come back as zombies, Rob. They came back as themselves, but maybe they're like their intestines are hanging out, or like the one girl, her jaw's missing, and they're completely alive, and they know something's wrong with them, but
they
they're
feel
not
the pain.
zombies.
They experiencing what they feel everything that just happened to them, or
I don't know if they feel the pain anymore, do they, Keith?
No, because the one guy's brains are falling out, and he's like just walking around fine. But it's cool. It's interesting, and it's very 80s in its vibe. I mean, all of them are. And I think it's just a very interesting series as it develops. The more films they do in reaching out to international filmmakers, I think it's great. Plus, it hasn't lost that violent edge that sort of defines the series. But speaking of violent edge, let's talk about something that I know Prago and I watched. The newest series on Peacock, set in the world of John Wick, 3 episodes, basically 3 films, The Continental. Now, Chad, you haven't watched this yet, right?
Correct. I haven't seen any yet.
I've just seen the first 2.
And Rob's only seen the first 2 because he didn't listen to me about how good the third one was.
Groot or the Continental? Groot
they're about the same length too. That I Am Groot and the fucking Continental. So what did you?
Suitcase.
Yeah. What did you think of the first 2 episodes of the Continental?
A little uneven. I love the time period. I love the look of it. I love the soundtrack. To me, the most interesting character in the show, again, is the brother who we don't get a lot of after the first half of the first episode, who's tremendous. Who is the most John Wick-esque character in the first 2 episodes. That being said, there's some cool characters. I just don't think the guy who's cast as the lead is as dynamic or charismatic as the character he's portraying from the John Wick movies. He's not a bad actor. Some people just have a certain quality, some people don't. And that's why there's casting, right? It's not necessarily quality you're acting. He's a fine actor. I just don't think he's the guy. Yeah. I don't think he carries himself in the way. I get people go, well, he grew into it. People are who they are. I think with better casting, and again, not a better actor, just somebody with more of the qualities of what's his name? I just forgot the actor's name.
Ian McShane.
Ian McShane, who is just dynamic. I think that would have helped. That would have helped me anyway. I do love being around the Continental. There's a lot of really interesting characters. Mel Gibson is easy to hate as the bad guy. He slides right into that very well. I'm blown away at the soundtrack. Yeah. We talked about this. The soundtrack has got to be the majority of the budget. Like, the songs throughout this thing are spectacular. It's a good looking show. I'm looking forward to seeing the 3rd episode because I know where that character winds up. I'm just curious to see how it plays out in the 3rd episode as they plan on dealing with the Continental. So we'll see how that happens. And Gibson, but it's an interesting watch. It's worth a watch.
Yeah, like I think the first episode has better action. The second episode has better storytelling. And the 3rd episode is really, for me, where it all congeals. Like, I completely agree with you about him not having the same charisma as Ian McShane until the 3rd episode.
Okay.
And the 3rd episode is where I was like, all right, I see you as a leading man, and I'm now interested to see where the show goes. I think Mel Gibson is super punny the entire time, and I just fucking hate him for it. But it is interesting to see elements of where this world is. Like, apparently in the background, there's the young Lawrence Fishburne character, and they leave it off in a place too where the story's not over, so they could do another season, like, because they haven't cleared the gap of who he is yet, right? And that's kind of compelling. And I think you do have some interesting characters. I think that one of the benefits of the John Wick franchise is Keanu Reeves is just mesmerizing at all times. And you don't have the same pull in this. Yeah, clearly. But there is, I think by the third episode, the action is so well defined and some cool ass sequences, and the stakes, you kind of know what they are, and a lot of things are sort of uncovered. By the third episode, the mojo's cooking. So I think they did a smart job of making this a show on Peacock as opposed to theatrical release, because I don't think you would have gotten to the third movie with the first two. But I dig it. An interesting thing to note too is that in the third episode, there's a song I've never heard before in my life, an Ace Frehley song called the New York City Groove, that this week alone was featured in like 3 things I've watched. And it's like, why is this fucking song in this, The Fall of the House of Usher, and this weird ass other scary movie I watched? So it's crazy.
Did they really just release a new song in the past 2 years?
I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, it's from the 70s, so it's crazy, but it's enjoyable.
And just before we move on, I want to say, so I'd seen a couple of videos about this show before I watched the first 2 episodes, and watching people on YouTube is it's mind numbing. But a lot of people were bitching about how the action doesn't hold up, it's not remotely blah blah blah. John Wick really set a standard that's hard to match, and it's relatively new. And I got to tell you, the action in this first episode
was great.
Had John Wick not been a thing, this would have been the standard. The action in the building in that first episode, freaking terrific. And yes, it's not shot exactly the same way, but it's pretty goddamn good for action.
I think the thing that makes the John Wick franchise so revolutionary in stunt terms and action terms is it's stunts that stuntmen think are cool. Like, that's what happens. It's things that fight choreographers want to do. That's what's leading the show so much. And you look at some of those amazing fight sequences, and they ramp up. 1 is relatively tame in comparison to part 4. You know what I mean? And so there's always that constant upping the ante, like we were in a Fast and the Furious franchise. And I think by the third one, there's this amazing fight sequence that happens in a telephone booth. And it's that brilliance of the circumstance and the choreography that happens therein that I'm like, this is fucking great. This is top notch. Because you're really seeing them work and you're seeing them have fun with it. And that's awesome. That's, to me, what the John Wick franchise is. But I love the action aspect of it. But we all are, red-blooded. We love action. And that's what brought us to the next film we're going to talk about, The Expendables, starring Sylvester Stallone, Jason Statham, Dolph Lundgren, 50 Cent, Tony Jaa, Iko Uwais, and Megan Fox.
I can't believe I haven't seen this yet. Sorry,
I can't either. Well, I've seen it, so I can. Chad, what did you think about Expendables 4?
I enjoyed this one enough.
Yeah.
It's definitely the least of the series, and you guys said this about the trailer, how, I don't know if you use these words exactly because you're nicer about it, but you act like it looked cheap.
Yeah.
And it is, as far as the movie goes. It seems like the smallest in scale by far of any of the Expendables movie. There's some good action in it, some good fight. I mean, you got some action stars in it. I love Jason Statham. He's great. And I like Megan Fox too. I like the two of them together. I like their chemistry, but yeah, it is the weakest of the 4 by far, I feel like. And you do have star power, but you don't have as many as some of the other ones. And you don't have, like Arnold's not in it. Harrison Ford's in one of them, Chuck Norris, you've got some, Jet Li, you got some big people in the other ones and not as many big ones, big action stars in this one. I mean, they added 50 Cent. He's one of the ones they added. International though, Tony Jaa, dude from The Raid, who I liked in this movie.
Yeah,
he was cool. But yeah, I like this movie just fine, but I like these types of movies. I'm like an 80s kid liking these type of movies. This is definitely not for everyone. And as I said, it is, on the weaker side as far as the franchise goes.
Yeah, like it feels to me like a straight to DVD release. Like,
Yep.
absolutely. I think Megan Fox is really attractive. I got lost there for a second because that's what she is. She's just really fucking hot. Like the entire time, she's just really incredible hot. She's fine as an actress, really fucking hot. Tony Jaa was really great. Seeing him, Iko, I thought did a great job as the bad guy. Apparently, this was going to be a spin-off of the Expendables series originally called A Christmas Story. It was originally the name of it. And it was a script, a storyline that Stallone had written, but then it got changed into this. There's a decision that happens pretty early on in the movie that you're left thinking like, they're really gonna fucking do that? And the answer is no, they're not really gonna fucking do that.
Right.
But they make you think they did. And some of it, and then like while that like seemed ballsy at the beginning, there's a reveal about who the traitor is that's just dumb. Like, you see it 9 miles away.
Oh my gosh, so far away.
I saw it in Expendables 1 before, like, you know what I mean? But some of the fight sequence, Tony Jaa is the best part of the movie, just because he's like, I can't become the person I was because then I'll never come back, and then he just knees everyone to death.
Like
Great.
2 minutes later.
Yeah, it's fucking amazing. And like he turned around and now has war paint on his face, and it's just incredible. 50 Cent's pointless in this film. I just feel like there's a borderline racist thing that occurs whenever they cast an African American man in these movies. They always have to say the line, "That's what I'm talking about," while they're wielding a tank's gun or something like that. Like, and I just feel that that's what happens in this movie. You know what I mean? So that's my problem. Well, what are my problems with it? It's okay. It's if you have a bunch of hot wings and beer, yeah, put it on. But other than that, it's not an A24 release. But speaking of old things that should probably die, let's go ahead and talk about the next film, Saw X. Chad and I both saw this. If you flip it upside down, it spells Xmas. Chad, what did you think about? Now, does this count as the 10th one? Because do they count Spiral and Jigsaw in that? Or I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know. Okay.
Yeah.
There's too many.
Spiral and Jigsaw, when you add them all up, this is the 10th one total.
Well,
So
I
they
just
do
think
count those.
Saw has a more complicated continuity than Star Wars. Go ahead. Tell me about this film. What did you think?
It's maybe the most complicated continuity in any franchise, unless you
Absolutely.
consider like HOLLAween, which has reboot after reboot.
That's
Don't
even
count
simpler.
these movies.
That's even simpler than this movie. Okay, so 1 and 2 happen at the same time, but 3 happens in before 2. This happens while Jigsaw's taking a shit in the middle of 1. Like, it's so fuck off. That's what I say. Go ahead. Tell me what you thought about it.
So if you take away like the complicated aspect of the timeline and you just look at this just as a movie, you know, I enjoyed this. I think that in this movie, it's what's so funny about it is that Jigsaw, after everything that he's done, we've seen him do and stuff, he is 100% the hero of this movie.
Yeah.
There is no gray area. You are 100% rooting for Jigsaw to win in this movie. Like he is a good guy in this movie. Like it's amazing what they do with Jigsaw in this movie. And you know, they used to do this back in like some of the slasher films, like the 80s, the 90s and stuff like that, in the sense that like really you're just watching the movie because you want to see Jason kill all these people.
Yeah.
You're actually rooting for Jason. Just kill all these assholes, these stupid kids or whatever. But that's just because you kind of like Jason and he's a cool character. But this, they gave you real reasons to really root and empathize with Jigsaw and really hate the people that he is torturing, killing.
Absolutely.
Like legitimately. So to me, this is one of the, it's one of the stronger entries in the franchise. It's not the best by far, but it's in the top 4 or 5 for sure. It's
least
in the top
10. At least in the top 10.
No, there's much worse than this one.
Yeah.
But again, I like this one. But I do like Tobin Bell as Jigsaw. So there's one trap in this one, Rob, that some of these traps are just like they're ridiculously difficult, and what you have to do to survive is terrible. And I think, can I do that? But one scene, a dude has to cut part of his brain out and put it on like a weight or something. No, not even starting that one. Just, all right, whatever. When the 5-minute timer's up and this thing's going to cut my head off, whatever, that's what's going to happen. Because I'm not going to drill into my brain and start cutting it out.
Just to cut into his own brain.
Yeah.
You got to drill into your brain and cut out some brain matter and put it on a scale. And if you get enough on the scale, then you're going to survive.
No, I'm done.
Spoiler alert, doesn't survive.
No, but he attempts it, but so
that's the story I want to see when the people are starting to fight. Like, just fucking kill me. I'm not doing your stupid tricks. I'd rather die.
Yeah, because in these movies, what they do is, let's say it's a 5-minute timer. They act that way for the first 2 to 3 minutes. And then the last 2 minutes, they're like, oh my God, now I've got to try this. And they run out of time because they spent the first half of the timer saying, I'm not going to do this. This is crazy. And some of them are like bad. Like, again, the one that was the quote, dream sequence at the beginning, that one was easy as all get out. I would do that in like 2 seconds where you got to break your fingers.
Yeah.
Like that's all the kid had to do or whatever. Just break your fingers. All right, good. I'm done. And I'm out or whatever. But, Jigsaw, even in the other movies, most of the time he is punishing people that have done bad things, but it's not like really bad things. It's like, hey, you ran through a stoplight, so now you have to cut your feet off if you want to survive. Like, it's crazy stuff like that. But these people really did some, pretty bad things.
Oh, absolutely. And as a cancer patient, like, I feel this one immensely, right? Because it literally, the storyline is he has cancer. He hears about this treatment thing. They fake a treatment on him and scam him out of all this money, right? And then those are the people he's going after. My problem with it is kind of just what you were saying. It's like, you run a red light. Now you have to take away your feet so you can never run again. That sort of thing. It's just way too, it's not clever. It's way disproportionate. I want something that feels poetically tied in to what their crime was to be part of their punishment. Like, and I think if you just did that, this series would be elevated above torture porn. You know what I mean? Because it is now, hey, you looked at me twice. I don't like that. Cut your femur off. Like, and that's just too extreme, right? I think that plus the muddied continuity, they just, when they were making these movies and they decided to kill off the Jigsaw character, they just bit themselves in the ass so hard. So now they're like putting him in a Lazarus pit like every 5 years to keep him going. And it's just kind of crazy. I think it's fine. It's not my favorite. It does hit home at a couple points. But other than that, like, it's fine. I like his relationship with the kid. That was cool. I like the way he's always a couple steps ahead. And in this one, you're worried he's not, but then of course he is. They have a formula to this that they just follow. You know what I mean?
And the music is a banger too. Every time.
Absolutely.
Gets me every time.
Yeah. But speaking of music being a banger, let's talk about some epic music in a series that just ended on Disney Plus that I'm sure we're all going to talk about how much we love. And that is Ahsoka. Chad, starring Rosario Dawson, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and the cast of Rebels. How did you feel about Ahsoka, the show?
Ahsoka was Star Wars to me.
Yeah.
This felt the most like what I would say is my Star Wars. Yeah. It really did, as far as the new stuff goes. This was the best, to me, the best Star Wars series on Disney Plus. Again, I love The Mandalorian. I liked Obi-Wan Kenobi. This was the best by far because, again, it felt really integrated into the Star Wars universe. Mandalorian's doing some stuff off here on the side. Obi-Wan Kenobi is definitely integrated, but I just felt like this was the full, huge picture of the Empire versus the Rebels, the continuation of the Star Wars story. I love that. I love Ahsoka. She's one of my favorites. I love Thrawn, talking about, how he's one step ahead about things. That's the way he is. I'm a big fan of Thrawn. I said this in the last podcast, from the opening scene, it looked like Return of the Jedi. That's what it looked like. And then there are moments that were Return of the Jedi to me. We have live action Clone Wars flashbacks. Awesome. It's Rebels, the next season of Rebels.
Yeah.
It is. I can't stress how much I really like this series. And also the way that it ended is like, yeah, give me more. What's going to happen next? I just feel like that we're just building to like a major war, like a Star Wars. I mean, that's what it just seems like. That's gonna, we're building the throne, raising the empire, and then fighting the rebels. And like, I'm all for it. I really, really dug this series a lot.
Yeah. And I'm sure Rob's going to agree with you on every point. Rob, what did you think, Mr. Grumpy Pants?
It's one of those where you're right. It did feel like Star Wars the whole time. But not always like the best of Star Wars. It felt like Star Wars the whole time, where Obi-Wan felt like Sid and Marty Krofft to me. It didn't feel like Star Wars to me. So the character of Ahsoka is great. She's great. I love her when she's stoic. I love her when she's laughing. I love her when she's fighting. I think Rosario Dawson has a little bit of an issue fighting effectively in that huge head gown thing, because some of the fights, her striking does not look like there's any intent. It looks like she's doing sort of a ballet dance at times. So some of the fight scenes were hampered to me with the slowness of her striking. For example, I like the show. I think it ended great. I think episodes 1 and 2, the pacing and the dialogue was a little iffy. 3, 4, 5, and 6, I loved. I thought the last episode was okay. I thought it was fine. Thrawn is great. There's some great characters in it. I think they accidentally created 2 of the best Star Wars characters that I've ever seen, which is Bailey, what the fuck's his name? Ray Stevenson, and then Shin Hati. Great. I mean, literally, I sat there thinking it's a tragedy Ray Stevenson passed away anyway, just from all the stuff he could have done outside of this. There's something about his character that just seemed to unite the Star Wars fandom a little bit. There's something that everybody liked from all sides that was just this grounded, intelligent, brooding, mysterious, not fucking with all the other bullshit. I felt like his character was commenting on Star Wars in the same way some people had it's the same thing over and over. The beginning, the bye, just want to fucking start. And it was just, there's a gravitas of Ray Stevenson that I don't know how they replaced him. I mean, there are a lot of great actors, don't get me wrong. And I've heard rumors about different names. I don't know who has what Ray Stevenson has. And we're going to find out who they think does, because I think he'll be recast. This actress who plays Shin Hati did more with no dialogue, did more with less than I would say, and this is not a shot at everybody else, than everybody else in the show did with dialogue other than Ray Stevenson. That's what she did with the look. I think this woman's going to win the Academy Award one day for playing a mute. She was phenomenal. I can't wait to see where they fucking go. I mean, it's just very powerful. I love the witches. I can watch a whole series of what they did. The look of those witches, phenomenal. The effects of the whales, that whole was great. I feel like the actress playing Sabine was not great. I didn't think she was up to par with everybody else. I felt like she was playing in a different tone of a movie. It was silly. It was it was a little odd to me. It was the best work that what's his name Darth Vader's done as a young
Christensen.
Wow. I mean, and again, I heard somebody say, well, he's got good dialogue. It's what I could hamper any other actor. I thought he was tremendous in this.
Yeah.
I thought he was really, really tremendous in this. It was fun to see him back in that last episode as that she has like videotapes of him for training, which is kind of cool. And again, one of the moments, I think it was episode when she's battling him on the whatever the world is, Midgard, whatever that is. I'm combining universes right now. One of the moves, I'm talking about the fighting, the last move of that fight was so slow where she catches him. It kind of diffuses the fight. I'm bouncing all over different things. Do I like the show? Yes, there's a lot to like about it. I again, the way they handle relationships, they build up these things that people haven't seen each other for years and they're lost forever. To play these reunited moments so casually and coolly was a little weird. The whole, like, I didn't watch the Clone Wars and these other shows. But even I knew with the buildup that if they've been fighting this long to find him, Ezra and Sabine, that just didn't ring true. The whole, hey, good to see you. I think they're outside a fucking soda shop and they haven't seen each other since lunch. It just, the whole ending of that episode dropped like a fucking wet blanket. It was just, there was just something, I don't know, there's something off about it. That being said, again, there's some really, really good shit in this. And I'm looking forward to where it goes next.
Yeah,
I mean, I know I'm all over the map, but what I loved, I wanted more of, and then it would drive me crazy. It was a little uneven for me.
no, and I get that too. Like I disagree with you, but I do get it. Like I think it's
Like Obi-Wan, so I know I get it. It's all right.
yeah, no, I have good taste. It's clear. I think to me, I agree with Chad. Like to me, this is Star Wars. Like I feel it's doing everything that all the other shows did, but it just feels like it's doing it better to me. I'll concede the point that there are some fight moments that feel like they're not great. Absolutely. But I think it's probably also because I do have an affinity for these characters sort of built in from the nostalgia of watching Clone Wars and Rebels and all of that stuff. But in as much as it's doing the connectivity that Obi-Wan Kenobi sought to do, it's giving me the nostalgia vibes that Book of Boba Fett tried to do. It's expanding the lore the same way that Mandalorian was trying to do. It still handles the political uprising that Andor was trying to do, but it leaves it all in this leveled off, this is Dave Filoni's baby sort of way, right? And it's the first show of this Star Wars Disney Plus era that when it ended, I thought to myself, I can't wait to see what happens next. All of the others, when they end, I'm like, okay, that's fine. I enjoyed myself, but that's fine. But this is the one where I was like, I want to know where we go from here. And I've heard the Liev Schreiber rumor a lot about the recasting of Bailey, which I think is a good one. That's a great one. It'll be a different character, but it'll be a different character no matter who plays him, because he's gonna, if they continue with that character. And I often too like wonder, because Dave Filoni knows Star Wars probably better than George Lucas knows Star Wars, but his version of Star Wars can get a little woo like with the world between worlds and wolves having spirits and time travel and all that shit. So I was interested to see how that would play to people who aren't familiar with it, right? This esoteric concept of Star Wars and how that translates to an audience. And I think it's done pretty well. I think Rosario Dawson's perfect casting for Ahsoka Tano. And again, I think it hits all the nostalgia points that I want. And I'm also younger than 9,000 years old, so I can enjoy new TV and stuff like that.
I'm not quite as old as that robot guy, the droid.
Close. Yeah, a little bit closer, though.
But one other character I love, that to cut you off, is those wolf rat dogs. I love those wolf rat dog things.
Fucking amazing. I got mad at Sabine.
God!
I think I called you. I got mad at Sabine when she was mean to one.
I already dislike Sabine, and then she cops a dude with a wolf rat dog. Fuck you, Sabine.
Forget about it. No, we're not in my house.
Done. Good Lord. I want a wolf rat dog.
Yeah.
You know what was a cool moment in the show? And it was, again, I don't know if it was intentional or not. When Thrawn says, "Oh, I'll keep my promise. You may go, and you will have transportation and give her the weapon she needs." The stormtrooper, who's the one who sent her off? Was it the Goldface guy?
Yeah, Goldface guy.
It was such a cool moment of him sending her off, because he wasn't. I didn't think he was being a dick. The way he said that, "Die well," there was such an unbelievable amount of respect there. I was waiting for him to turn. I thought he was going to do a face turn at some point at the end of that. Yeah. That moment planted such a seed of like, oh, is something going to happen? Are they going to turn? And nothing happened there. And I don't know if it was intentional or not, but that was such a great moment. And I was like, it was so real and honest and just between warriors. And I was like, fuck yeah. They're just following a master. They're just following that, what they're supposed to do in life. And that was cool. That was just a really cool moment. Anyway, I digress.
No, I think it makes them compelling villains just in general. The fact that they're not always pure evil. Well, Thrawn, I think is. Thrawn looks like Elon Musk became a Smurf, but
he 100% looks like Elon Musk.
100%. Yeah. And that voice is so creepy. Everything he says is just so uncomfortable, and I love it. It's great. It's scary.
I do like at the end, like when Ahsoka's trying to catch up to him, and he just basically gets on the comm link just to like gloat, You're like, hey, nice try, but see you later, dude.
And to talk shit. He's like,
Exactly. That's
oh,
all he's doing.
I guess you're a failure, much like your master. Like, just damn, dude, calm down, Hannibal's brother.
He was so good. That guy, he was the bad guy in one of the episodes of Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
He's the guy who kept the Mind Palace.
Yeah.
With everybody. First time I saw him, he was fucking tremendous.
He's Mickelson's older brother, and he's just amazing. He's so good. He's so good. He's scary. Much like the next thing we're going to talk about. Another movie that will make heads turn. That is The Exorcist Believer. Chad and I both saw this movie, and I think we're going to have differing opinions on it. Chad, what did you think about the film?
Yeah, I feel like I would have differing opinions from most people watch this, because going into this movie, the reviews are bad, like really, really bad. And so I had low expectations. I mean, I loved the trailer. I thought it was an awesome trailer. But even from the trailer, I even said on the podcast, I don't know if the movie's going to be anything like living up to this, but the trailer is a perfect trailer. But I had low expectations going into this. And so I'm watching the movie and I just keep thinking like about all these bad reviews. I was like, okay, when's the movie going to get bad? Because so far it hasn't gotten bad. And then eventually the movie's over and it never got bad. So I don't understand. I think that some of it might be to a degree that this is David Gordon Green, and this is the people that just did the HOLLAween reboot. It left a sour taste in a lot of people's, minds as far as that goes. And that could be a little bit of it. The same way how there's this tribalism with Zack Snyder, and either, you hate all the other stuff that has nothing to do with Zack Snyder's DC or whatever. Yeah. That could be part of it. Obviously, I'm not a crazy person. This is nothing like the original Exorcist. It doesn't compare. What would compare to the original Exorcist? It is nothing like that. But I loved, and I mean loved, the exorcism aspect of this, where you had all these different people from all these different religions involved this time. It wasn't just a priest. There was a priest. There was like a Southern Baptist. There was a spirit, just one with spirits in the world and nature, I guess. Then Leslie Odom Jr., you could argue he's an atheist. Like there's all these different, quote, religions coming together to do The Exorcist. I thought that was a great idea.
They have a rabbi, or was this anti-Semitic?
It was anti-Semitic.
Yeah. There was not a rabbi. But so I thought that was really, really cool. How they had a nun that was a lab that, left the convent. There's so many different elements to that. I really liked it. I thought Leslie Odom Jr. was great.
Yeah.
So is this like a 5-star movie? No. Is it like The Exorcist as good as that? No, but I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was the biggest piece of trash I've ever seen. That's for sure. I enjoyed it.
Well, I did, and here's why. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think, first of all, let's acknowledge one of the stars of this film, Vince Canless, appears in this movie, so that's pretty awesome to see him.
I texted Rob after I got out.
Yeah, it was awesome to see him there. They also he has like a long bit of dialogue, but they put it at a level you can't hear it the entire time he's on screen, and it's just like, because he's eating into it, like he's delivering the shit out of it, but it's all the entire time. Poor guy. But it's great seeing him in there. And I also know a friend, Jessica Sanchez, that worked on it. I think there's a lot of good about this film. David Gordon Green is a disappointment in life, and I would be ashamed to call him family. But I think simultaneously he
casting 20 movies in Atlanta next year, so we just love it.
He did some good stuff here. Leslie Odom Jr. is great in the movie. I think all the cast is great. I think his daughter is the better of the exorcism girls, like in this. Ellen Burstyn was great in it. It was great seeing that other appearance that you see in the movie. That was pretty solid. I think the choice that has to be made, that ending is perfect Exorcist ending. Not the actual ending of the film, but the ending of the exorcism itself is a perfect Exorcist ending, because I think the Exorcist as a franchise needs to make you feel uncomfortable at the end. It is not a story about good triumphing over evil. It is a story about how evil will always be there. And they do an element of that what a loss this is of innocence. They do that, and that's great. I feel like there's a lot of sections in this movie that feel like they're montages from commercials for insurance companies. Like there's a lot of like these weird ass sappy piano playing while Leslie Odom Jr. is like, life is about change. But when you change, we're here for you. You know what I mean? Like that happens like 6 times in this fucking movie. And I was like, what the fuck is this? So there's that. There's the second aspect where I feel like they wanted to make a statement, but didn't have the fucking balls to make the statement. Because in the end, I completely agree with you. It's a cool idea of what happens within the exorcism, but they're all Christian religions. And I get that part of the premise of this is Christianity itself. But it would have been interesting to have a faith in there represented that was not Christianity, that was somebody not asking for healing through Jesus Christ. And that feels like it would have made the statement a little bit more intense. I do love when the priest shows up. He's like fucking Batman and this motherfucker. And like everybody's like, yeah, and like cheering and stuff like that. And then it doesn't work out well for him. But so I think there's some great aspects to it. I think the Ellen Burstyn stuff feels kind of forced. At least in the way it's executed. Some of that just feels kind of pushed in. And I think also The Exorcist has such a rich canon of movies that have such interesting ideas already in it that to ignore, I get 2 is not everybody's favorite, but you're going to ignore that because it's basically saying the same thing you're saying in this movie. But I think it kind of still did it better. But that's just my opinion. I think this movie's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Anti-Semitic, as Rob would point out, but it's fine. Also, here's the other thing. Fuck this. It's set in like bumfuck Georgia, but everybody in that town is Catholic. What bumfuck town in Georgia that's predominantly Catholic? Like
that's not true at all. The other family, they were at like a Baptist church.
But 9,000 people were in that Catholic church, and they weren't a Baptist church. They were like Episcopalian because they were still doing communion. And I'm like, you guys don't know bumfuck Georgia. Like, I feel that's the thing. They shot it here, but didn't do any research about how tight Protestantism and like deep Baptist is in this area. You know what I mean? So, but that's just me, I guess.
At the end of the day, what does religion have to do with The Exorcist, Keith?
Moving on.
You get a lot of the filmmakers, Keith. You're really asking a lot.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's my biggest issue with it is the religious aspects of the film I feel are hollow. I feel like, go ahead.
What did you think about the reveal during the exorcism about Leslie Odom's choice?
Great. That was great.
I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was great. Great. And I think it's a perfect setup for the other choice that
Yes,
occurs.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a nice
parallel.
parallel.
I love that choice. That whole choice aspect is the best. I wish it would have ended there as opposed to in all state. We have you in our hands and all that bullshit that happened afterwards. I don't know.
Every time you say Leslie Odom, I keep picturing Leslie Nielsen and thinking maybe that would have been a better movie back in the day.
What? He did an Exorcist spinoff.
He did.
Repossessed?
He did.
Repossessed, I think. With Linda Blair, right?
I don't remember Linda Blair, but quite possibly.
Think you guys need to do that for your little deep dive into horror? Repossessed?
I don't really think it's an 80s movie, but that's fine. But speaking of 80s movies, let's go ahead and talk about one that Chad and I both watched. The Amazon Prime film starring Sabrina the Teenage Witch and that one James Bond girl that's on Modern Family. Julie, what the fuck is her name? Benz?
Oh, Julie Bowen.
Julie
Bowen, yeah. And that is Totally Killer. Chad, what did you think about this movie, Totally Killer?
It was fun, light, enjoyable, slasher. Rob, the premise is it's kind of like Back to the Future, where the main actress, she goes back in time, but to actually save her mother's friends from getting killed by a slasher from like 30 years ago or something like that.
That's a cool
she's got
combo.
to do it. What's that?
That's a cool combo. That's a cool. Why the hell not? Yeah.
And it's and it is fun, and I like it. It's not as good or as clever as some of the other high concept slashers like Happy Death Day or Freaky.
I picture Freaky Friday, whatever, Freaky, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Like
that.
I like Freaky and Happy Death Day a lot better than this. This does seem like more of the bargain bin version of this, but that's not necessarily like a bad thing. It's fine. You could do a lot worse, during October watching this fun movie. I mean, it was fun. I had a good time with it.
Yeah, agree completely. Same sentiments. I think it was a lot of fun. I think Sabrina is really great in this. I think the mask of the killer is cool. I think they have a twist. It's not the biggest of twists. It's not like a surprise, but I think in the tone of this film, it doesn't have to be, because I think this isn't trying to be strictly slasher. It's slasher comedy,
Right.
and it hits a lot of those beats really greatly. Just about how easy things were to do. Like there's a scene where she's trying to figure out what class her mother is in the school, right? So she walks up to the front office and she's like, "Hey, I know this is confidential information, but I'm looking for Sally so and so. Listen, I'm actually a friend of her family." And before she can even finish saying it, the lady has given her the info, and she's like, "You don't need to see any identification." And she's like, "Identification for what? Get the fuck out of here." It's like, yeah, that's what the 80s was like. That's great. That's great. That's my childhood.
I like
love
too
that.
when they're talking about they're trying to explain to her time travel, and she's like, "Do you know anything about time travel?" She's like, "Well, I saw Endgame, but that's her. That's how she knows about time travel from Endgame." So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I also like Jimmy Woo from the MCU's in there. And
He was very funny when he threw
the
that
DNA.
yes, like the girl robbing this, she gets blood of the killer, and she takes it to the cop. And again, this is the 80s, and she's like, "Here, this is all you need. Just run it through the database." She's like, "What are you talking about? I've got his DNA. Like, this will tell us who the killer is." He's like, "Whatever." He just throws it on the ground and just
He's like,
starts
"Yeah, we'll check out this CMA. Anyway, we need some real." It's great. It's just great. Awesome stuff.
Hysterical.
Yeah, it's a cool little comedy. I enjoyed it. But speaking of enjoying things, let's go on to the next thing that I saw. I've watched the first 2 episodes of this new Netflix series, The Fall of the House of Usher. Mike Flanagan, known for Doctor Sleep, The Haunting of Hill House, Haunting of Bly Manor, The Midnight Club, all sorts of Ouija, Oculus. He's done a lot of great stuff. Hush, a lot of amazing things. And this, I think, might be one of my favorite shows he's done. I haven't seen The Midnight Club. I've only seen the first 2 episodes of this. And it does a great job of combining aspects of Poe's stories and Poe's life and merging them into this original story. Like, it's this a mix-up sort of thing. And it's great. And it's got all of its... He's sort of like a... Mike Flanagan is a non-toxic Ryan Murphy, right? Because he uses the same cast members. And so you get to see all these people coming back. And so this has got Henry Thomas. It's got Bruce Greenwood. It's got the guy from Midnight Mass. The lead from that is absolutely great. Carla Gigliano.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rob loves her.
She's amazing. She's dressed in lingerie during the entirety of the second episode, which is pretty solid. Who else? It's got his wife, who was Thea in the Haunting of Hill House show. A great cast, just phenomenal casting. And you're seeing all these actors just put in great work. Bruce Greenwood specifically is fucking phenomenal.
He is.
Yeah. So he plays Roderick Usher, famously played before by Vincent Price. And so he's playing that role, and he's incredible in it. I can't wait. The second episode alone has some of the coolest imagery I think he's ever accomplished in his career. And so I'm excited to see what's happening. The basic premise is Roderick Usher's life has fallen apart. All 6 of his children have died. We're finding out why. And it seems like there may be a curse on the family. And then everywhere you turn, you're getting Poe references, like the premature burial, gold bug, all these sort of things in there. It's awesome. It's a good spooky watch. I like it a lot. But speaking of good watches that I like a lot, let's talk about a show all about time, something that I think we've all watched at least the first episode of. Chad's only watched 1 episode. I've watched 2. Rob has watched 2, and that is the MCU's Loki. Chad, what are you thinking about Loki so far?
Like I said, I only saw the first episode, but it was a fun start. I didn't like the way Loki ended last time, but I do like how it began in this one. I felt like we got right to the point. of the way that episode ended last time, where they didn't know who he was, and then he's in a different time, he's in the past. So I'm intrigued with where this is going. I'm intrigued with how this is going to impact the future of the MCU, with all these, different timelines. I love Kiwi Kwan as far as adding to the cast. He's a lot of fun in that first episode. Very, very fun scene with the time travel where Loki's talking to him in the past and then he's remembering it in the present. Very, very fun. I dug all of that. I just hadn't had a chance to watch the second episode yet. But yeah, it's fun. I'm digging it.
Yeah. Rob, what about you?
Thank God the show's back. I feel like this is so strange. I feel like Tom Hiddleston's got he's kept this show in a bubble and he's protected it from whatever insanity's been going on outside of it that's allowed the movies and the other shows to sort of run off the rails a little bit without the quality. I think he protects his character, with a shield of armor. And he knows how this character runs. He knows how this world is. And I think this show, like Chad said, that the Ahsoka feels like Star Wars. This show feels like the MCU. This show feels relationship of characters, dialogue, tone, just quality of the moments. I love this show. I loved how it picked back up immediately. The relationship between Owen Wilson and Tom Hiddleston is my favorite relationship in the MCU right now. The way they get along, the nitpicking, the odd couple, the friends, everything about it is just so clever. I think Owen Wilson could have a conversation with a tree and I would enjoy it. A tree, not Groot. I think he relates to everybody. I think he puts everybody at ease. I think Owen Wilson makes everybody better. And when you start with someone like Tom Hiddleston, who's good anyway, I mean, it just elevates these scenes. I feel like the budget, you can see it, the budget's a little lower. There's a little bit of, but again, then I realize I don't give a shit because I can watch these people talk to each other about what's going on. They handle exposition better than any show in the MCU, movie or TV. Just clever and likable. And there seems to be, Chad has to watch episode 2 to let me know if he feels the same way. But I feel like something's missing between episode 1 and episode 2. There was a huge gap where I was like, did I miss something? Did I fall asleep? What is happening here? And there's still some things I don't quite understand with time. I truly believe they had planned on going back and reshooting something and adding something, and then to strike it. Because there's a huge gap, which is hard to justify. That being said, we're not morons. It's not as complicated as the end of the Groot and the ice cream.
I was going to say, this is again.
Yeah, this was not as complicated for me to go, all right, somehow, blah, 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 blah. And it has to do, Chad, with, I'm not spilling anything. There's a character in episode 1 you've seen played by an actor named Rafael Casal. And he's like one of the military, he's like 5.
X5, yeah.
X5. And I remember hearing people rave about him who'd seen the first 4 episodes. And I remember talking to Keith going, this guy's fucking terrible. There's nothing about this character. There's nothing interesting at all on any level. What the hell are they talking about? And in episode 2, I'm like, oh, he's fucking great. So it's, but there's something that's missing in the dialogue and the storytelling where you go, that being said, once you let go of that, show's a blast. It's some of the best dialogue I've seen in the MCU in a long time. Clever conversations. It's very self-contained in the world they're playing with right now. I see how it still could connect to the greater world and what's about to happen. It's just a shitload of fun. It's nonstop motion. It's nonstop. Even when they're sitting still, the stories they're telling are clever and fun. I fucking dig it. I think it's great. Even when I feel like it's spinning its wheels and sitting in a place to talk, I can listen to these fuckers talk all day long just about their lives. There's that scene in episode 2 where Loki's trying to make Owen Wilson feel a little better. And he uses a very important moment in his life as if it's just, there was a time I did this. We got to get over these. I don't want to give it away. Chad, I want Chad to experience it, but I belly laughed. I literally was belly laughing at the use of this reference in this little moment. It's good shit.
Absolutely. I agree. And now I really want to see Owen Wilson having a conversation with Groot. I want to see like how Mobius, like not even understanding him, it would be like, I am Groot. Wow, that's so interesting. Like that would be such a nice.
But I think Mobius, after one conversation, would understand him because Mobius is such a good listener. Yeah, he's a great listener.
And he would like, even if he didn't though, he would pretend he did, and it would still be like very charming and like very endearing. I think.
You understand his subtext. I don't know what you're saying, but yeah,
but it's great. Love it. Love to hear it. That's great. Sort of like when I'm talking to my cats, and I'm like, "Oh, I know, but I don't really know." That's what he would do. I love it. Like, I think the thing about the show is that it's not afraid to lean into that quirky Doctor Whovian sort of aspect of it, and because it's able to do that, it feels so genuine. Like, even if the budget has been cut, it's shot so beautifully and so intentional. You know what I mean? Like, I was listening to somebody talk the other day about how, you know, perhaps one of the downfalls of modern cinema is the ease of CGI allows us to do whatever we want, and we don't have to pre-plan things. But this feels, especially even that conversation of going back and forth through time, it's very intentional that every single time you're cutting to the person completely in the middle, Wes Anderson style, so that you never lose track of where you are. You know what I mean? And those intentional decisions just make the show feel so much more polished than perhaps other shows do. And I think it's smart. I think it's extremely well constructed. Even in moments where I'm like, oh, I don't like that choice, there'll be something a couple moments later that makes me reflect upon that choice in a different way. And I know that's only 2 episodes in, but yeah, it's fucking great. It's fucking great.
Are they? I meant to ask. Do you know if they're using the same director throughout, or are they using multiple directors in this?
I think it's the same director throughout the entirety of season 2.
Well, that's what they did with season 1 with Kate Herron. Okay,
Yeah.
so one vision. Okay, interesting, cool.
Looking
forward to it.
Yeah, me
and
too.
I think it ends. I think the week it ends. Is that when
Marvels
come out? Okay, so it goes right into.
And I think Goosebumps starts this Friday, so we all should check that out too.
I didn't think much about that. I never was into that. So is that any good? I mean, Goosebumps?
I mean, I had a whole fucking show about it on YouTube about reading the books. I have them like right here. The books are terrible. The books are god awful because they're always about like 11-year-olds who's not parented well. But Justin Long's in this one, and I think
I saw that he was in it. So I'm like, yeah, he's great though.
Yeah, he's great, and so.
And he's in a lot of horror. He's in a lot of horror. He's in something else. I can't even remember. He's in the trailer for something else where he has like weird teeth or something. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
No idea. That sounds...
it's a Wonderful Knife.
Shut up.
That sounds
That's
awesome.
a great title.
Yeah. It's what you think. It's a slasher Wonderful Life. But
That's
he's
awesome.
in it. Yeah.
That's gotta be Blumhouse. Is that Blumhouse? That's gotta be Blumhouse.
I'm not sure if it's Blumhouse or
Sounds
not.
A24 probably because they're smart.
That's definitely.
And going from that wonderful noise Chad just made, let's go and talk about some trailers now.
Coming soon. Coming soon.
That awesome trailer music. We're going to start off with what I think is a fantastic looking movie, not to bury the lead, but it is an A24 release, so that lets us know that it's going to have some good quality to it, starring Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, Harris Dixon, Mara Turney. Oh my god, she's amazing. I love her. McCallany, Lily James, Brady Pierce, Kevin Anton, Brett Baobé, Casey Lewis Carragino playing Bruiser Brody, Mike Dell, Aaron Dean Eisenberg.
Brody.
Yeah. Aaron Dean Eisenberg playing Ric Flair, Leo Franick playing Ross Von Erich, Sam Franish playing Marshall Von Erich, Maxwell Friedman playing Lance Von Erich, Mark Gibbons.
That's MJF.
That's MJF.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here. That's crazy.
And directed by Sean Durkin, written by Sean Durkin. This is The Iron Claw, the true story of the inseparable Von Erich brothers who made history in the intensely competitive world of professional wrestling in the early 1980s.
Before you ask a question, I got to ask Chad this point blank. What would this movie have to do or be like for you not to like it? I mean, I'm trying to figure out how bad and off the rails would this have to go for me not to at least go, yeah, man, it was about them. It was good. I dug it.
It's going to be depressing, and that's why Chad's not going to like
I don't know. So
It's depressing. Everybody fucking dies. We know the ending.
yeah, exactly. I mean, as evidence from the beginning of the show, I'm a wrestling fan, and I do know the Von Erich story. So yeah, it's crazy. It's batshit insane. It's going to be depressing, and it's A24. But the people, I love wrestling, and I love the people involved in this. I don't care what anybody says. I'm a fan of Zac Efron. I think
too.
that he has charisma out the wazoo. Like,
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
am a fan of Zac Efron. But and again, it's the Von Erich story. And I didn't even know all of the potential, whatever you want to call it, cameos. Like I didn't know Ric Flair, there's going to be a Ric Flair in this movie or Bruiser Brody. Like I don't know who's going to be in the movie.
There's a quick shot of Flair in the trailer. There's an overhead shot. There's a quick shot of him.
Okay, I didn't notice that. I thought I saw the Freebirds.
They're in there too, yeah.
But I'm just now finding out, MJF is in the movie. That's awesome. I'm a fan of MJF, but yeah, this is a opening weekend watch for me for sure. Like it looks awesome. It looks great. So, Darren Aronofsky is a crazy filmmaker. I'm not a fan of most of his films, but he did The Wrestler, and I dug The Wrestler a lot. A lot of that had to do, of course, with Mickey Rourke's acting. It was incredible. But even that, with that director, it still didn't stop me. You know what I mean? I still dug the movie. So to your original question, Rob, I don't know what would, have it where I won't like this movie when it's said and done.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. I look at it, I go, I thumbs up. I just from the trailer alone. I don't know. Literally, you just show me the trailer. I'm like, that was a good movie. That was a really good movie.
Yeah, I watching this trailer makes me so scared because I just don't want to see it all go to hell. You know what I mean? Like you can tell there's the scene where he's just gotten in the car accident, his foot's been fucking cut off or whatever, and he's about to go wrestle. And like that alone just made me want to fucking cry. Like it's going to be so powerful. I just think I love the way A24 is like, this Oscar winning stuff is good. We're never not going to do this again. Like we're winning every year from now on. And this is the one that's going to do it. Like this looks amazing.
Jeremy Allen White, coming off The Bear. Both of you seen All the Bear?
No, I've seen him. I've seen his work. He's good.
Yeah, I've seen A Bear before, but
you need to see Bobby A Bear. No, you need to see The Bear on Hulu. It's the best show on television.
Well, after Ahsoka, clearly, but
it's better than Obi-Wan Kenobi, Keith. It's that's literally you need to watch it. That's how good it is. He's so fucking good in this, but everybody is. You need to watch that show. It's not what you think it is. It's really amazing.
I mean, I think it's amazing. So
watch it.
Nobody's been like The Bear's kind of okay. Like they don't really say that.
Yeah, but you haven't watched it. It's great.
I haven't. There's a lot of stuff I haven't watched. I haven't watched Top Gun. But this
Keith's face is Chad's face.
Iron Claw it looks fantastic. But speaking of a different type of claw, let's go on to the next trailer. And that is for Leo. The story of a 74-year-old lizard named Leo and his turtle friend decide to escape from the terrarium of a Florida school classroom where they have been living for decades. Directed by Robert Marianetti, Robert Schmiegel, and David Wachenheim, I think is his name. Starring Adam Sandler, Bill Burr, Cecily Strong, Jason Alexander, Rob Schneider, Allison Strong, Joe Coy, Sadie Sandler, Sonny Sandler, Coulter Ibanez, Bryant Tardy, Corey J, Ethan Smeagol, Tiana Safko, Gloria Manning, Carson Manier, Roy Schmiegel, and Reese Loris. Chad, what did you think about the trailer for Netflix's original animated film, Leo?
That's got to be Smigel, though. Those are the Smigels, right? From Saturday Night Live? That's got to be. Okay, I got it.
I thought it was Smeagol. Is it Smigel?
I thought it was Smigel, but I don't know. I could be.
I don't know either.
I'm not going to bet my nut on it. Go Smigel. Anyway, digress. Leo.
What it looks like to me is it looks like one of these cheap Netflix cartoons that I'm never going to watch.
So. Ooh, coming out hot.
Absolutely.
Wow, he's mad at the lizard.
Pass.
God damn, Rob, please tell me you're wrong.
I never heard of it until you mentioned it. I haven't seen the trailer. I never even heard of it. So I'm just for Smigel and Sandler. I can't wait to see it.
Wait, you didn't watch the trailer?
I never heard of it.
I sent it in the text message.
I don't get texts. I don't. I think it blended in. I saw Leo. I thought you meant DiCaprio, and I watched.
First of all, you sent the Zoom link via text message, which is the dumbest thing in the world.
No, well, that'd take me forever.
It was the
to
fastest way to
transfer
do
my
it.
computer.
In the moment, it was the fastest way to do it. I went with speed.
I just can't believe it. I saw Adam Sandler voicing a lizard. The guys are gonna love this. I have to be here for it. And then I was the only one that dug it. I loved it. I think it's great.
It was completely phoned in by everyone.
I think his old 74-year-old lizard voice is perfect. It feels authentic. I thought Rob would be able to relate to it, and that's why I suggested it.
I'm gonna watch it 12 times, and then we'll talk.
I mean, one of my favorite movies is 8 Crazy Nights, so I'm on board for him to do more old people voices. I love it. And that brings us to another form of lizard. This one's for a television series set after the battle between Godzilla and the Titans. Revealing that monsters are real follows one family's journey to uncover its buried secrets and a legacy linking them to Monarch. This series stars Christopher Heyerdahl, Mary Yamamoto,
Names we know.
Kyoko Kudo, Shota Tsuji, Kurt Russell, Josh Collins, Charlie Hewson, Junichi Tajiri, David Santana, Charlie Karuma, Wyatt Russell, Kiersey Clemens, I love her, Joe Tippett, Anna Sawai, Elisa Laswowski, Valencia Budianto, Billy Christos Jr., and Ryan Cowie. This, of course,
John Goodman. Did you say John Goodman?
Yeah.
I didn't see Rob put his finger up.
I didn't hear John Goodman.
John Goodman. This Apple Plus TV Plus show, Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. Chad, what'd you think about the trailer for Monarch?
So this looks good. It looks like a movie. Kurt Russell, awesome. Godzilla, check. You got John Goodman connecting it, with the other movie. It does look good.
Yeah.
It does.
The problem is that I have like 18 streaming services and I don't have Apple Plus.
You can
I'm not adding another app.
I'm going to give you, just for that show, I'm going to give you my password.
It looks good. It really does.
Don't you use mine?
Sometimes when you hold on something for too long, you take possession of it. And by the way, Chad, if you need HBO Max or Netflix, give me a call.
You got those too, right?
Give me a call. And I got a plethora of DVDs. If you want to borrow my DVDs, got that.
This must be what it's like living with a parasite inside of your stomach at all times.
I was the reason that what's his name? Bong Joon-ho wrote that movie called Parasite.
Yeah,
basically living off all your streaming services.
So, my parasitic friend, what did you think about the trailer?
He didn't watch it. He didn't watch the trailer.
You didn't watch
the trailer of Monarch?
Yeah,
did you watch it? Know about that one? But you missed Leo.
I don't know. With Leo, well, Monarch, I just caught on my own. I have Apple Plus. So YouTube. I've seen the trailer for Monarch twice. It looks great. It looks really high quality production value. Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell. Say what you want. He was great. Fucking that character. He's great.
I love your say what you want, as if someone's saying the opposite of that. Say what you want, but chocolate is tasty.
All you anti-Wyatt Russell naysayers and detractors out there in our podcast land, you get on board the Wyatt Russell train. He's fucking tremendous. I also lent him my Apple Plus. He's very happy with me. I thought it looked great. There's an urgency to it. The quality of the monsters looks awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait to see it.
Yep. Yeah. Same here. I mean, I love these movies. This looks like a fucking movie. This looks like Apple TV Plus, man. They don't hold back. They're like,
I was going to say, HBO and HBO Max has a reputation of high quality shows. And I'll say, again, regardless if you like subjectively the stories told at Apple Plus, the quality and the money they put into their shows, the production value is great.
It just feels like Warner Brothers, who desperately needs, other than Barbie, they desperately need the goodwill of the people. They missed the boat on this one. They missed the boat on not having this be a part of their lineup.
Say what you want about Warner Brothers.
That's one that you can say, but the
Okay,
other
I got that right. Say what you want about Chad Dowdy, but I'm saying
yeah.
he's 1/3 of the show. That's what I'm saying. Say what you want.
Well, I'm glad.
If any of you need Apple Plus, don't hesitate to email me at
find us on Twitter, NQC Podcast, and we'll let you know what the Apple Plus
I'll set
password
you up with
is.
my Apple Plus.
I am so glad you're giving people the gift of my Apple Plus. But let's go on to our last trailer of the evening, and that is for a film directed by legendary filmmaker John Woo, Silent Night. A grieving father enacts his long-awaited revenge against a ruthless gang on Christmas Eve. Written by Robert Archer Lynn and starring Joel Kinnaman, Catalina Sandino Moreno, Kid Cudi, Harold Torres, Vinny O'Brien, Yoko Hamanura, Anthony Giuletti, and John Pollock. Silent Night. Chad, what did you think about the trailer for Silent Night?
Yes, it's like John Woo's Death Wish is what this is.
Yeah.
I'm curious if this will be like No One Will Save You and there will be no dialogue in this film. I know there's no dialogue in the trailer, but I think it'd be interesting to do the entire film without any dialogue, especially it seems like Joel Kinnaman can't talk after the the shooting or what have you. So that's interesting. I'll probably check this out at some point. John Woo, he's a legend as far as that goes.
Speaking of legends as it being old things, Rob, what did you think about the trailer?
I love a good director who's got a certain style that as soon as it comes on, whether it's the trailer or the movie, you know who that director is. And it was just, wow, he just shoots in such an interesting style and a look. And again, I'm not a fan of all Woo's movies, but I like his style. And I like, always like what he's done. Like the way he goes about his business. It looks great. I love Kinnaman. I remember he did a show. One of the first things I remember seeing him, it was called The Killing. It was an FX show. I think it's on Netflix now, 4 seasons. It's awesome. He plays this strung out cop who's trying to get back on track, and he partners up with this other guy. It's awesome if you haven't seen it. It really holds up time wise. I'm a fan of Kinnaman. I think he's great. I'm a fan of his work. I think it looks good. Yeah, I mean, really, who doesn't want to see kick the shit out of a bunch of bad guys? Fuck yeah.
I think Kinnaman's great. I even liked him in the RoboCop remake. I think he's great in the Suicide Squad movies. He's always carrying his weight. And I love John Woo. I think John Woo is the architect of John Wick. He's the father of modern action films. You know what I mean? And definitely revolutionized them. Until we get to The Matrix, everything was trying to emulate John Woo. And so this looks like a budget cut from what he's used to, probably. But I'm still excited to see it. Like, if he feels the need to come out of retirement, fuck yeah, I want to see what he wants to do. And plus, it's a Christmas themed movie. Okay, cool.
Kind of cool. That's kind of cool.
And I know Rob's.
I hear Rob for he likes that music.
Music, hells yeah. Damn right.
The singular Jewish man with the most Christmas compilation CDs.
I had my own theme song. Have a holly Jewy Christmas and rest time of the year.
Yeah, so I'm here for it. I'm excited for it. Before we go out real quick, we want to say the WGA strike has been resolved. However, the SAG-AFTRA strike has not been resolved yet. As of right now, the AMPTP has walked away from the table. What we are doing is in no way violating the SAG-AFTRA strike. Know that we are in full support of them and what the union is fighting for. It's important, and fuck the AMPTP for what they're doing. That's that. Chad, where can the people find us?
On Twitter/X and Instagram on NQC Podcast.
And Rob, where can the people find you?
On Twitter /X at Rob Prolgo, Facebook at Rob Prolgo, and Prolgo's acting class, and and right here.
Right here, indeed. We'll be back with more movies and stuff. And look out in the first week of November. Chad and I, for Not Quite Darkness, will do a special 31 for 31 episode. We will review all of our Halloween watches. And Rob's not invited because, it's Rob.
Puppy!
Oh, my goodness.
Schmutzy!
Oh, it's a pup dog.
You on the podcast? It's a really cute pup dog named Schmutzy, who went to his first training today, puppy training.
Well, congratulations. How did puppy training go?
Yeah, pretty good. He was the smartest in his class of all four.
That's good.
He sat, and then he didn't start. Then he didn't sit, and then he ran around and he peed on the floor. He was the best.
What a great class. That sounds like hanging out with Rob. Definitely. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Not Quite Cool is a podcast recorded in Atlanta, Georgia, in conjunction with Actors Teaching Actors and Bean Dip Productions. Thanks.